Don't worry, Mom. Nobody can hear you scream in this wing anyway. Those were the last words my only daughter whispered before she leaned down and pinched the deep purple bruise on my arm, the one she had made when she dragged me out of my own bed. She didn't just steal my house. She took my glasses so the world was a blur. She snatched my hearing aid so the silence became a cage. She took my dignity, then walked out, locking the heavy steel door of a nameless ward. I was 72 years old, my spine held together by titanium rods, left in a room that smelled like industrial bleach and slow death. She thought she had buried me alive. But she forgot. I'm the one who taught her that the most dangerous thing in the world is a mother with nothing left to lose. Before I tell you how I turned her perfect life into a living nightmare, please stand with me. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. If your own flesh and blood did this to you, would you seek justice? Or would you seek blood? The first thing I realized was that the heart I had spent 30 years nurturing had turned into stone. My daughter, Chloe, a rising star in the city's legal elite, stood over my bed with a look of pure, clinical disgust. I was 8 days out of a spinal fusion surgery. Every breath felt like a jagged piece of glass moving through my ribs. I was helpless, paralyzed by pain and the heavy sedatives she had been mixing into my water. "You're a leak, Mom," she whispered, her face inches from mine. "A financial leak. This house is worth $3 million. Your medical bills are eating my inheritance. Do you really think I'm going to let you rot in my mahogany bed until there's nothing left for me?" I tried to reach for the emergency call button, but she snatched it away, snapping the cord with a sharp crack. Then she reached for my face. With cold, practiced efficiency, she pulled the hearing aid from my ear. She swept my glasses off the nightstand. The world went dim and silent. I was a soul trapped in a vacuum. She didn't call an ambulance. She called the cleaners. 2 men in unmarked gray scrubs entered. They didn't speak. They lifted me by my armpits, my spine screaming as the fresh surgical staples groaned under the tension. They threw me into the back of a refrigerated delivery van. Chloe stood on the curb, already booking a flight to Aspen with my missing credit card. "Don't bother screaming," she mouthed through the glass. "I told the neighbors you went to a hospice in Switzerland. You're already a ghost, Mom." They dumped me in Ward 9. It was an unlicensed underground facility for the unwanted. No windows, no names, just numbers. The room smelled of industrial bleach, trying to mask the scent of rotting hope. For 2 weeks, I was kept in a chemical straitjacket. They fed me a gray slurry that tasted of copper and salt. They thought because I couldn't see or hear clearly, I was gone. But a mother knows the rhythm of a house, even a house of horrors. I began to map the ward by the vibrations in the floor. I tracked the footsteps of the orderlies. I realized the night guard had a heavy limp, a weakness. And I realized that the vitamins they forced down my throat were the same ones I used to administer as a head nurse 30 years ago. I knew that if I combined them with the high-sodium broth they served, I could induce a localized allergic reaction that looked exactly like a lethal stroke. On the 14th night, I took the gamble. I bit my tongue until the metallic taste of blood filled my mouth and I collapsed. When the doctor arrived, a man who clearly bought his license in a back alley, he panicked. He didn't want a corpse on the premises. It was bad for business. He ordered them to dump me at the back entrance of a public ER. The hospital staff found a 72-year-old woman, shivering in a thin gown, with surgical staples literally popping out of her back. But they also found something else. While I was in that ward, I had used a stolen permanent marker to write Chloe's bar license number. I wrote the words "kidnapped by" in giant, jagged letters across my own chest and stomach. I made sure they couldn't ignore me. The New Year's Eve gala was in full swing at my mansion. Chloe was wearing my pearls, laughing with the mayor. She was standing in the foyer of the house she thought she'd stolen. She was mid-toast when the front door didn't just open. It was kicked off its hinges by a SWAT team. I wasn't in a hospital bed. I was in a motorized wheelchair. A police captain was on my left and a forensic accountant was on my right. I had a new hearing aid and new glasses, and I had a crystal-clear view of her soul leaving her body. "Mom?" she gasped, her champagne flute shattering on the marble. You're supposed to be in Florida." The cleaning lady found the hidden floor safe, Chloe, I said, my voice like a serrated blade. The one where I kept the recordings of you talking to the real estate agent while I was sedated. And the police found the cloud footage of you pinching my arm while I begged for help. The investigator stepped forward, showing the room a video on a giant screen. It wasn't a movie. It was the moment she looked into the camera and told me nobody would hear me scream. The room went silent. The mayor stepped back as if Chloe were covered in poison. "You're not a lawyer anymore, Chloe," I said as the cuffs clicked shut. They bit into her wrists just as hard as she had bitten into mine. "You're just another leak in the system. And don't worry. I've made sure your cell is in the loudest, most violent wing of the prison. I want you to hear every single scream." Chloe is now serving 15 years for attempted murder by neglect and grand larceny. I'm back in my house. The bleach smell is gone, replaced by the scent of fresh lilies. People ask me if I hate her. I tell them no. Hate requires feeling. And just like she wanted, I've finally gone cold.